We do have interests as an association and as a trade group, but it's not political motivated from one party or the other.
Real estate, obviously, you guys have heard it in the news. It's a big deal. It's everywhere, right? It's on every legislator's mind. It's on every city councilman and councilwoman's mind. Housing's a big deal, and so it's going to be a big part of this session. We don't want people telling us how we're going to conduct our business, right? We want a free market with lots of competition, so that's the end goal.
Welcome back to Nevada Realtors Today, your place for timely updates on the news and trends that matter to realtors in the Silver State. Now let's join your Nevada Realtors President, Brandon Roberts, and Nevada Realtors CEO, Tiffany Banks, for today's episode of Nevada Realtors Today.
All right, Nevada Realtors, Chris Bishop here, your 2025 Legislative Vice Chair, and I'm excited to have with us the man of the hour, the guy dealing with all the bills, your 2025 Legislative Chair, Azim Jessa. Azim, welcome to your show.
Thanks, Chris. And I'm definitely not dealing with these by myself. I'm pretty excited to have an amazing legislative committee for the last 2 years and a really great legislative management team, which we'll touch on here shortly as well. But yeah, so we wanted to give Nevada Realtors an idea of what we do as the legislative management team and the legislative committee and what it looks like when we're in session and talk about some of the bills that we're facing and addressing and working through right now.
So what I love about these episodes is it's concise information about, the mainstream topics of things that are happening and stuff agents can really get ingrained into and understand. But before we do that, you just got back from something pretty important that we do federally. Explain that a little bit, what it was.
Sure. So, excuse me. So I just got back from the RPAC President Circle Conference, which was in Orlando, Florida this year. It's actually going to be in Vegas next year at the Fontainebleau. Or however you say that properly, Fontainebleau, ne pas français, but it's going to be there. So what it is, it's if those of you who know about RPAC, right, there's an additional level where you can contribute directly to candidates that are realtor champions. So the National Committee picks some candidates who are really supportive of real estate rights and issues, and they want to give them a little extra support. So you can directly invest in those candidates. And people who do that then get invited to this President Circle Conference where a lot of these legislators will come and talk to us, right? So congressmen, congresswomen, Congressman Luke Rayo was there from California. Senator Katie Britt from Alabama was there. We had Trump's co-campaign manager, Barack Obama's campaign manager from his races back in the day, right? So long ago.
Yeah.
And some other people. I mean, we've had in the past, Condoleezza Rice has been there. Mike Pompeo's been there. Governor Richardson from New Mexico, who's recently passed away, but he did a lot of talk about his hostage work and rescue work and things like that. So really cool conference. If you're a political nerd, especially at the federal level, it's a great opportunity to learn more about that. So if you want to get involved in PC, talk to your broker, talk to one of us on this screen here, or anyone involved in RPAC, and we'll let you know a little bit more about it. But it's definitely worth it, and it's here in Vegas next year. So make travel really easy for those of you that want to participate.
I love it. That's a great conference. I've been many times, and it always is packed full of wonderful info. And if you're going to be giving to candidates anyway, why not do that in correlation with protection of the industry that we work in? You also, right before you went to that event, you had a major conference here at Carson City with legislators. Talk about that and Realtor Day on the Hill.
Yeah, so Thursday we did our first Nevada Realtor Day at the legislature in a long time. Since I've been involved in RPAC and PAC and stuff, legislative work, we've never done it. So that's been close to 10 years as far as I can think. Maybe I don't know if someone maybe can send us a message and let us know when the last time they did this. But it was awesome. We had about 50 realtors show up from around the state. We went to Carson City, had breakfast at the governor's mansion, did a little debrief on what the day would look like, and then went and met some various legislators, did tours of the Capitol, had some small group meetings, again, like I said, with these legislators, talked about our issues. They told us what they were concerned about. Brandon Roberts, the president of NVR, he got to sit on the assembly floor, and I got to sit on the Senate floor with a senator. So that was pretty awesome. Get introduced and go through. I got a little certificate. I didn't bring it. And then
get a frame on your office.
Yeah, exactly. Like I sat on the Senate floor. I'm cool. And then, so I was with Senator Julie Pazina, and Brandon was with Assemblywoman Haiti Kasama, which most of you know, or hopefully should know. She's an Assemblywoman who is also a realtor and broker with Berkshire Hathaway here. And so, we did that. And then we had a little reception at the end of the day where we invited the legislators and their staffers and had some appetizers and a couple of beers and got to chat with them, like kind of a little more casual. And that's always good. I feel like last time I remember we did do a reception once since I've been around, and I saw like a lot of work gets done there, right? You talk, you have a lot more candid conversations with people. What's that saying in Vino Veritas, right? In wine, there is truth. So maybe that's the way we need to get work done. We'll just throw a beer summit like Obama did years ago.
I think a lot of people forget that personal connection plays in a lot of this. I mean, we do have interests as an association and as a trade group, but it's not political motivated from one party to the other. It's about practice and protection of private property rights. And so I believe it's 2017, we had just the reception, but I mean, you made it to an entire day, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And we didn't get to sit on the floor or do any of that. We barely could go into the building. But that whole idea of mixing and mingling and them seeing that we're real people, we're real business owners that care about the community, that we're doing this for the protection of our livelihood and their ability to purchase and sell real estate. And so because of that, you mentioned it earlier that we are monitoring a huge amount of bills. How many would you say we're looking at?
We're probably close to 50 bills right now that we're monitoring. Here's the list of bills that Chris and I and the rest of the legislative management team have had to read through.
So that's a lot.
And I just want to reiterate, this is a volunteer position.
One meeting a month.
Yeah. So apparently we're sadists and we like to give ourselves extra work and extra reading. But so anytime a bill gets dropped and, you can watch the I'm Just a Bill video to kind of get a brief summary of how that works. But we're pretty similar in Nevada. And so anytime there's a real estate or small business related bill, our lobbyist and our GAD flag those bills. And then they send them to us as the legislative management team. We read through them, decide if it's something that we want to pursue, monitor, support, or whatnot. And then we make our comments. And if we have issues with it or we like it or whatever the case may be, our lobbyists, Jenny and Rocky, they will pass that back on to the legislator and let them know that, hey, we're good with this, or we like this, we want to change these things, or we can't support this bill until this part's removed, or, we just may say, oh, you know what, that's not really relevant to us, so we're going to just remove it, but thank you for bringing it to our attention. We're not going to track it. And so to give you some perspective, when I was sitting on the floor, I was sitting next to this gentleman who, obviously I wasn't the only guest, right? They do this every day. They always have guests, right? It's a little chance to reward the people that supported them and thank those folks. So I was sitting next to a group of nurse anesthesiologists. I was worried I was going to say that wrong. And I was like, yeah, so, like how many bills you got going? Like what's happening? They're like, we have one bill. I'm like, you have one bill, right? They have like 15 people up there supporting one bill, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, at that time, I think we had 37 that we were tracking. We're above that now. So just to let you know, like real estate, obviously you guys have heard it in the news. It's a big deal. It's everywhere, right? It's on every legislator's mind. It's on every city councilman and councilwoman's mind. At the federal level, it's what we hear about all the time. So, housing's a big, big deal. And so it's going to be a big part of this session.
So to our audience, just to let you know, the intent of this podcast is to give you up-to-date info on stuff that will affect your business or that we're monitoring. And we do promise to keep it relatively short in consideration of the other podcasts. Azim, if you had to shorten it down to what's happened so far, what are one or two key bills that you're looking at, that you're monitoring, that matter to us in our industry?
Yeah, so let's start with the good news, right? The positives. So Brandon got to present AB 258 with fellow realtor and realtor champion Cynthia Moore. She's an assembly member. And so that bill is what that's doing is kind of taking what the NAR settlement agreement said about having written buyer broker agreements. We're putting that into writing. Currently, the law says oral or written agreement are acceptable for any sort of brokerage agreement. We changed that. We're removing the word oral and making sure that every brokerage agreement's written. So, a good consumer protection change. It's, puts our settlement in line with the actual law in this state. So that helps. And I think that there's 21 other states, and if not more already, that have by law written buyer broker agreements are required. So, we're not the first to do this. We're not stepping out of line or out of order. We're doing it.
And I think it's interesting on that point that the Code of Ethics says for all realtor members that if you make an agreement, any type with a client, it must be in writing. And so this actually brings in all of those aspects that this agreement will be there. And it kind of empowers a little bit more that everyone is on an equal playing field, I think. Now, for those that have been doing this for the last 20 years, regardless of what settlement happened or what they feel, okay, you probably have a great skill at presenting to your clients, but this just makes it a law that everyone can understand and abide by. And so I think that was a great step for something that's been on the docket for some time that now has finally happened. What's next after that?
So yeah, that one's pretty exciting, guys. I know. We're done. That's it. We're good. We don't need to talk about anything else.
We could have the anesthesiologist do that.
So we have SB 193. That was brought forward by Senator Fabian Donayate. He reached out to us in the interim and asked, "Hey, what can we do to help bring down the cost of housing? What can we do to like make housing affordable for his constituents and constituents all over Nevada?" And one of the things we talked about was doing an interest rate buy down. So having the state government create a fund where people who make under a certain income level can apply and get money to buy down their interest rate, right? So it's a way to lower the monthly payments for these folks. And so SB 193 says if you make under 160% of the county's median income, you can apply for funds and use those funds exclusively to buy down the interest rate, not to cover any other closing costs, not to pay down principal. It's not a down payment assistance program. It is specifically for buying down your interest rate. And so that got presented. It went really, really well. And it'll get through hopefully the committees there and move its way to the assembly side. So, if there's something, this people listening to this, watching this can do, I would say, reach out to your state senator and encourage them to pass SB 193.
Yeah, great stuff, Azim. And like always, we're looking at property tax items. We're looking at point of sale concerns. We're looking at changes to CIC regulations and industry regulations. And what I find amazing about this is that things come out that we didn't even think feasible for someone to talk about pop up. And so there's a reason I think a lot of people may not understand. There's some bills that we just stay out of because it doesn't apply to real estate and the operation of our business. Even though it may be crazy, even though it may not make sense, we just stay out of it because we do have a lot of irons in the fire that we're trying to protect. What do you think is coming up this next 2 weeks that we should be, looking at? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there has been a rent control bill dropped. I was just actually looking for it. It was AB 280, I believe. Was that right? Or 283? Is that right? I don't know. Whatever. This is what happens. We have a stack of bills. I don't remember the numbers, but there's a bill that just did get dropped. That's talking about having a pilot program, a test to do rent control on seniors who are on fixed income. I'm just kind of dumbing the language down a little bit there. But again, that's something we oppose. We saw during COVID how quickly builders stopped building the moment there was a hiccup in the regular market. And we're worried that if there's any sort of rent control action that takes place, even if it's a pilot program or a test, we're going to use the data to see what we should really do. We're worried that the builders will instantly stop building, especially, and seniors definitely, we don't need to be in a place where senior housing gets more expensive. And we truly believe that if there's any sort of disruption in the free market in senior housing, then all of a sudden we're going to have higher prices for seniors. So that bill is I think it just got introduced a day or two ago. There'll be some HOA bills that are coming across. We'll kind of look at those one by one, case by case, and see if there's anything we need to step into or address. We're RPAC, right? We're the Realtor Political Action Committee. We're the Nevada Realtors Legislative Committee. We stay in the realtor issues, right? We don't want to wander into social issues. We don't want to wander into other people's businesses, and how they conduct their business, because we don't want people telling us how we're going to conduct our business, right? We want a free market with lots of competition. So that's the end goal. So that's kind of how we pick and choose some of the bills and decide whether we're going to get involved in them or not.
So Azim, thank you so much for sharing all of that, the travel that you're doing on behalf of realtors all over Nevada. And of course, going back and forth, testifying on bills and presenting our position. It's a big job and you're the right guy to fill it this year. Just final thoughts on issues that how agents can stay involved in the process. What can they do to, get more info?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, certainly I would say, subscribe to this podcast, right? Nevada Realtors Today. You'll get lots of information weekly. Chris and I plan on doing this weekly, as much as we can. And it should be, I can't see, I'm trying to keep my time clear to record these because it is important, right? We want you guys to know what's happening. I think we've done a really good job in the last year and a half, 2 years of really pulling back the curtain on what happens on the legislative side, the advocacy side. We're going to tell you as much as we can. There are times that, maybe a legislator is going to say something publicly, but we're already working with them in the background, right? They're trying to rile up their base. They're trying to, solidify their constituents. Meanwhile, maybe we're working on some sort of resolution. So there may be a bill that publicly is out there that you're like, oh my gosh, this sucks. This is terrible. Why are the realtors doing anything? Know that we're involved. We're working in the background. Our lobbyist always says, right, don't judge me on day 1. Don't judge me on day 10 or day 90. Wait till day 121, right? When the day after the legislature ends and closes, and that's when, everything drops. And then we'll know really how we fell out of these issues. And some of those issues, if you remember from 2 sessions ago, were solved at 10:30 at night, the day before the legislature closed. So it sometimes it can be by the skin of your teeth, but we promise you we're working on it. We'll let you know as much as we can when we can. And we're just grateful for your support. And if we give you a call to action, we really need your help to either respond to that email or make that phone call. Sometimes we've got to put the heat on a little bit, right? And just remind the legislators that, hey, we have 20,000 voters in this state. We want to support you going forward. And, we need your help to make sure that our industry stays relevant and stays healthy. And we want to make sure that housing's available for everyone. We want to be purveyors of that American dream.
Fantastic. Thank you, Azim. And for all of those watching, thank you for your time. We'll see you on the next episode.